This is the time of year that I miss Disney the most. We're after Christmas. I live on Cape Cod. It's mid to late January. And we do have a February trip coming up, but these like really cold Cape Cod mornings when I wake up, it's a beautiful day. It's sunny out, it's lovely, but all I want is springtime and warmth and magic. So, because Valentine's Day is right around the corner, I thought we could make Disney-inspired romantic Valentine's Day recipes. So the idea here is that you could use these on or around Valentine's Day for either a romantic date night or a date night with your family, or even a Disney movie-inspired evening. The first recipe that we're going to start today is from Luca. There is a scene in Luca where Giulia's papa makes Trenette al pesto for the boys in the film, for his family. So I thought I would show you how to make homemade pasta. Now you could skip this step if you're just going to buy traditional pasta in a bag, but I got a pasta maker for Christmas, which is something that's been on my wish list for a really long time. It attaches to my KitchenAid stand mixer. So I thought I would show you actually how accessible and easy it is to make pasta. And if you don't have a pasta maker, you could certainly do this with a pizza cutter. It would just be a little more time consuming. So I thought we would start with the dough because this is the most time consuming part. There is some rest time involved. And after we finish the pasta, the second recipe I'm going to be showing to you is more of a breakfast or dessert treat inspired by the Woody's Lunchbox Pop-Tarts. I've made a version of these prior to today. It's been a few years. We're going to use a strawberry jam filling, and I think we're going to cut them out in heart shapes, but you could cut them out in the shape of Mickey Mouse. You could leave them in that traditional rectangle shape. Really, you can customize these for any time of year. So those are the two recipes that we're going to be focused on for a little like Valentine's Day breakfast idea with your kiddos, all the way to a homemade pasta movie date night slash or a family movie inspired event for Luca, or something like Lady and the Tramp. Really any movie that incorporates pasta or is set in Italy. Let's go. Let's talk about the ingredients you're going to need to make this very basic pasta dough. We have 4 eggs that we're going to use, some olive oil. You will need some water depending on how sticky your dough is. So I have my little water measuring cup. I have some Himalayan sea salt. We are reusing this little plastic container. I would love a salt well. You know, the really pretty like wooden ones. I wonder if Epcot sells them. If you know, will you tell me in the comments below? But we actually buy the big chunks of salt and then we mortar and pestle them into the granules ourselves. And then the star of the show, you are going to need 500 grams of flour. I have a food scale from dieting in my previous life. It's actually been really helpful for making pasta, but in general, you don't necessarily need a food scale. I will tell you the conversion, the approximate conversion. And you're going to need like a really big work surface that you can get floury and messy, and a bowl. Let's get started with our pasta. I Googled it, and 500 grams is 2 cups plus 1 tablespoon. I am still gonna measure it out and show this to you. It's a little bit of a messier way than using cups, but we're gonna give it a try. I've only made homemade pasta once before. It was on January 1st because I wanted to try something new, and I used the linguine setting, which is kind of like the fatter one. And then for fun, we tried the spaghetti setting, which is like the really thin noodles, like traditional spaghetti. And I liked those better. So I think I learned that I need to roll my dough flatter before I put it into the machine and then let it dry. So the spaghetti one is the one we're going to be trying, but you're welcome to use literally whatever pasta you have, of course. And if you want to use linguine for this recipe, it doesn't matter. It's gonna be delicious no matter what. Let's start scooping. I'm gonna lower the camera down so you will see part of my body, but mostly just what I'm doing. I think that's more helpful. Just gonna use my tablespoon spoon. Let's see, we are on grams. And we'll definitely have to do this in batches because this food scale, as you can see, is not going to be big enough. That's 75 grams. I'm just gonna pick it up and scoop it into the bowl. Math is not a strong suit for me. I am gonna leave this little flour mess on the counter because we're going to knead this dough in a little while and I'll want flour on my surface. I am now going to take my big mixing bowl of flour. You could skip this step and just do this into a bigger bowl, but we're going to make a well. First, I'm gonna add a bit of salt and then we'll make a well. I am using 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And then I'm just going to mix it in a little bit and then start to create a well. I'm gonna grab a spatula. So this is what my well looks like. I've just created an indentation here where the eggs are going to go, and then we're going to start gently folding them in. Gently folding them into the flour. Okay, now I'm going to start bringing the walls of the well down to incorporate them into the eggs. You can do this with a fork or you can do this with your fingers. I'll probably end up doing both. Just before I switch over to my hands, I'm going to incorporate 1/4 teaspoon of olive oil as well. We may need more, but for now, that's what we're working in. Okay, now that the ingredients are incorporated, I'm going to flip this dough out onto the counter. Let me back you up a little bit because it is time to start building it. Let's see. This is where you may find you need some water. So do you see how crumbly my dough is? So I'm gonna see what I can merge together first, and then I will add some water into the mix. All right, after adding a little bit of water, I have a more consistent dough, and now we are going to knead this. This is the part you're gonna need a little patience for, no pun intended, for between 5 and 10 minutes. Now, if it starts to get really sticky on you, you can add a bit more flour to it to bring it back together. But the idea is that it should have a little bit of give or elasticity as you're kneading. If you can't pull it apart without it breaking, it needs to be kneaded longer. I'm not sure if you can tell on camera, but the dough just looks more pliable. I can also see some of the ribbons of olive oil in here. I'm smelling it. It smells amazing. It smells very fresh. So what we're gonna do now that we have our dough all rolled up, I'm gonna get some saran wrap, wrap her up, and then let her sit for like 30 minutes. In those 30 minutes, I'm gonna clean up my mess. I don't know about you. I'm feeling 22. Sorry. This reminds me of a Ratatouille moment when they're in the kitchen and she's talking to Linguini and she said the mark of a good chef is to have clean arms, tight in, and a dirty apron. I'm just not a clean chef. I traditionally don't make a huge mess on myself, but my area, you know, like I try to tidy as I go, but yikes. If you've watched any of our every plate reels on Instagram where I'm kind of cooking dinner because we love every plate, you'll see that I try to clean as I go. I don't want it to look messy on camera, but it's real life. It's real life. Let me show you how. Why are these sounds stuck in my head? Let me show you how to. Let me show you how to attach this. My KitchenAid is quite old. I have the crank stand one, but they all of the fronts come off in the same way. And then you need to align this little guy inside the KitchenAid. You take the little knobby and you twist it back in. And now when you turn the machine on, oh, needs to be plugged in first. The rollers inside roll. Do you see this one rolling? And the higher you go, the other two start to roll as well. So while my dough is sitting, I'm actually going to make the pesto part. So there are some ingredients in this pasta that are new for me in terms of like adding them to pasta. So I will have a helper in just a minute, but I wanted to show you what we're doing to make the pesto. Excuse my cell phone, how rude. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, okay, so we have basil.
This might be good because it matches my glasses.
This is a beautiful frozen outfit, I love it.
You said shirt, but I was like, oh, there's no more shirts but except the sweatshirts.
So this is gonna be perfect,
And
okay?
I looked at my dresses and I found the other one that Daddy got me from Epcot, and I was like, this can go in the wash. This will be easier.
Okay, this one can go in the wash, that's true, especially because we're cooking. I have a question for you. Do you think it's more romantic to eat pasta while watching Ratatouille, Luca, or Lady and the Tramp?
Lady and the Tramp.
Lady and the Tramp?
Because they kiss.
They kiss. Do you want to do the Lady and the Tramp scene when our pasta's done? Yeah, okay, I knew you would. So we're going to be putting the pesto together. We're actually not cooking this until later tonight. Okay, so let's talk about the ingredients we have here. This is the basil we have. Now, ideally you would have like a fresh bunch, but it is winter. This is what we're working with. We have some pecorino. No, this is the parmesan, and this is the pecorino. We have a head of garlic. We've got some pine nuts, lots of olive oil that Callie just brought home. And then the star of the show is our mortar and pestle. Like I said before, we actually do, Callie did this last round. Remember when you crushed up all the salt chunks to make the salt? Because you are going to need some, but I'm not gonna add extra salt because this bowl is already going to be salty. You could easily do this in a food processor, but my hesitancy with using a food processor when making pesto is that if you keep the basil leaves in for too long, the heat will start to cook the ingredients and then your pesto will be yucky. Smell our basil, shall we? Do you remember when we had a basil bush this summer? Yes. This smells...
My basil.
It was your basil. This smells so good. So our first job is picking off the leaves and putting them in the bowl, okay?
All of it.
All of it, yeah. As many leaves as we can get. And then I'll start with the next ingredients.
Okay.
So we need 2 cloves of garlic. So I will work on getting those. So Cal, I know the answer to this, but I don't think other people do. What's your favorite topping on like spaghetti or pasta?
Tomato sauce.
No, it is not.
Yeah, I tried it at school.
Are you serious? You eat tomato sauce now?
I do it at school.
Would you do it at home?
No.
Yeah, she said she tried it at school. Won't try it here, but we'll try it at school. So I've got 1 little garlic clove. Do you like a lot of garlic or a little?
Little.
Okay. I like a lot. I had really good pesto pasta once when Mimi and I went on vacation. It was my first time having it and it was so good. Okay, now we have some cloves, 1 fat one and 3 kind of skinny ones into our mortar and pestle. Oh, that's right. All right, are you ready to
get chopping?
Get smushing? what it looks like before
You chop it.
Mortar. Which part is, here, you can put it on the ground. Which part is the mortar? Is this the pestle?
Yes.
Thanks for knowing.
Because it's the biggest and hardest. If it's the tiny side, it'll only go for like 1 minute.
I didn't really know what this is going to be like because I've never just mushed leaves before. It smells awesome.
Yeah.
Do you like the way it smells?
Yeah. I actually have to go on my knees.
This says slowly add a bit of oil as you go.
Because, ciao. Dummy.
Oh, that's not slow. Then you add the pine nuts and the cheeses. So I'm not going to measure these. I'm just literally going to do a handful of pine nuts. Yeah, please don't cut yourself, okay?
I'm doing the back side because it's smooth.
Be careful. Yeah, good choice. Do you want to mush a little bit? And I will start shredding in some of the cheeses. All right, scooch. Oh, just a second.
I love cheddar cheese.
Can't put cheddar cheese into pesto, you goober. This one is the Parmesan.
I love cheese.
What? That's so strange. I didn't know. It's supposed to be, I think, around 2 tablespoons of each, but we're just gonna add as much cheese as makes our hearts happy.
We need more cheese from my heart.
Your heart needs the most cheese.
And then we'll go to Disney in 5
weeks, that's right. All right, so we're gonna add a little more olive oil. I think that it should be like a dense cream as you continue to mix this. Yeah. So we're going to transfer our pesto over, but I wanna show you what it looks like. It is really salty because of the bowl that it was in. I'm glad I didn't add any extra salt, but thank you. It looks like this. It is delicious. I think I could probably add more olive oil. This is delicious, and I think it's something we'll make over the summer. I thought it was going to be...
I'll see you in part 2.
I thought it was going to be really challenging to make this in the mortar and the pestle, and it wasn't. It would be easier probably in a food processor or a blender, but again, I just don't want to heat it up.
Are you making the sauce?
So this is the sauce that like I'm going to have. You can have just butter and cheese if you'd like with our homemade pasta. Also, that whole pack, this is how much you get. Now it's potent, so you don't need as much as you would like tomato sauce, but we're going to put this in the fridge until it's dinner later. I'm really proud of us. All right, so it's been about 45 minutes. My dough is nice and soft. Let me lower the camera so I can show you, but we're basically going to like split it into quarters and then roll it out before we put it into the machine. So once you have a flat piece, we're gonna go start putting it through the roller in the machine. So there's this little knob on the end, and you're going to want to start obviously with the thickest, and this is going, at least for my device, this is going into the middle. It's the 2 plain metal rollers. Oh dear. You know how to spell on these things. After the R. So this is on 8, this thickness. We're now going to fold it in half. I'm gonna pick the speed up a little bit, and I'm gonna drop this down to 6, and the goal is to get as close to like 1 or 3-ish as possible. smallest is all the way on the left, and you do have to have the speed up pretty high, but you'll see all of the noodles start to come out. This is the part that stresses me out a little bit because I feel like I don't know if I should be catching them or if they should just fall to the table. Like,
catch. No, just let them fall to the table, because if you catch them, they'll stick.
They'll stick, you think? Look at all of this Rapunzel hair pasta. So if you look up close, I think you might be able to see the thickness difference in like the later pieces versus the earlier ones. I don't think that's going to have a taste difference, but maybe I'll cook them separately because this is going to require at least 1 more minute. And then all of the other pasta, I just kind of smushed into this bird's nest, and we'll boil that as well. So this is how much, and I'm gonna cut the extra long ones in half. This looks like a full box of pasta to me, so I think it'll happily feed 5 people. Okay, so the dishwasher is going, which you can probably hear. We have all of our, I'm calling it Rapunzel hair pasta because to me, that's exactly what it looks like. Like, look how much of it there is. That has to dry out. So I'm letting that dry out for a couple of hours. You don't have to wait that long, but because I have the time, I am. And then later on tonight, we'll actually like boil it. We'll put the pesto in. We'll make it delicious. For now, let's get started on our Woody's Lunchbox inspired Pop-Tarts. So there are 2 ways that you can do this. Just like with the pasta, you could have used pre-made pasta or you can make your own. For this recipe, I'm thinking this is gonna be really great for a breakfast or for a dessert, especially like on Valentine's Day to have these pre-made. I'm gonna do the easy way for this one, and then over on Instagram, I have already put up a reel on a sugar cookie Pop-Tart from the Festival of the Arts. It's a recipe. I'll show you the book. You may have seen my Disney recipe cookbook collection, but this is one of the new ones. I picked this up in October for the 50th. This is a Disney Festival recipe book, and the first festival, because it's the first festival of the year, includes pop art cookie. So this is what the reel is about, and I'm making the dough for this one. So you can see how to make the dough here in the reel, or you are welcome to just cheat and use pre-created dough. Let's get going. I'm gonna use the refrigerated crescent roll dough from Pillsbury because then you don't have to create the dough and let it sit for a couple of hours. You can just get started. So I'm gonna preheat the oven to 375 degrees. So I am just reforming this dough. You know when you open it and it has all those little perforated cuts on it? I just ball it all up, and now I'm using my French rolling pin to roll it all out on a floured surface. I've also done this using pie crust and biscuits, but both of those get like really fat when you're baking them. And then the problem there is that it's hard to keep the filling inside because the edges want to split. I'm gonna be using a heart-shaped cookie cutter. Now you could do this with almost any shape you wanted that would make you happy. But remember, for each Pop-Tart, you just need 2. And you want them to be relatively equal in width. I was able to get 3 pairings or 6 hearts out of my dough and then a little bit of extra, so we'll see what I can do with that. Now comes the fun part. So I'm using a strawberry jelly spread because that's what I have. Oh dear, and it's leaky. So use what you have. You could use any jelly, you could use a homemade preserve, doesn't matter. We're gonna squeeze this right into the middle. There we go. Gonna spread it around a little bit so it's not just one big lump. You want that little filling in every bite. And then you place another heart on top. You're going to take a fork, mine has dough on it, and you're going to crimp the edges down. And you want to do this tightly. It may make a little bit of a mess. That's okay. I think the crimping is also really pretty. And then you take this little guy and you put him on a baking sheet with parchment paper. Okay, so here are my 3. This one looks the most unique because the hearts were not the same shape. Like I used extra dough to cut them out. So this one is definitely the prettiest of the 3, but I'm not sure it's really gonna matter once they're cooked or baked. So these are going into a 375-degree oven for 15 minutes, and then they need to cool completely, and in the meantime, we'll make the glaze. So the KitchenAid's gonna be used in its traditional way for this. Also, I touched all of the food coloring. Now my fingers are going to be permanently stained green, but hopefully it'll be cute anyway. So we are going to start with a cup of confectioner's or powdered sugar. I'm using a half cup to go into my mixing bowl. So I'll need 2. Perfect. Don't you love that? Does it bring anybody else joy to like recycle or throw away something once they've used it completely? I love that there's no waste. It's weird. Is that weird? We're going to start with a tablespoon or 2 of whole milk, and then as we mix our glaze, if we find that it's not smooth enough in consistency, we will add to it. But the fattiness of the whole milk is actually important to the recipe. Now you can use whatever extract that you prefer here. Like if you wanted to make these sweeter, you could do a lemon extract or an almond extract. I'm gonna stick with classic vanilla because that's particularly what I like and what my family likes. I'm gonna do a ½ teaspoon of this. And then we're gonna head on over and mix this at the KitchenAid. And then once it is mixed and smooth together, that's when I'm gonna add some of the pink food coloring. You could of course do red or whatever like seasonal time of year it is, but it's Valentine's Day, friends. We're gonna go pink. Just a splash of milk here to make this a little smoother and like runnier so that we can use it as a glaze. This looks nice and smooth and thin, so I'm gonna add in some food coloring. Okay, so my little Pop-Tarts just came out of the oven. 2021 Chelsea would have hidden them from you and then remade them and pretended that it went perfectly the first time. We're not doing that this year. Let me show you. Okay, so the one I said that looked the roughest when it went in came out like a hot mess, but I think we have two that are salvageable, and once we put the glaze on, you're not gonna notice. You're not gonna notice that, okay? This one, we're gonna glaze and eat because it's cute, and we made these two little rolls, which are delicious. Ooh, don't mind if I do. But we need for them to cool. We need them to cool. That's it. It's later in the day. You can probably see that the lighting is different, and if the quality is different camera-wise, I am using my phone because my battery died, so it's upstairs charging. Our hearts, at least the two that survived, are officially cooled. This is what one looks like. This is what the other currently looks like. And then this one didn't make it. But the good news is it's still delicious. So I'm really pleased with how this icing color came out. I've kept everything on the parchment paper so that way I can make a mess, and I have the teeniest bit of Valentine's Day sprinkles left. Because my plan is to like put them on this board, you know, cute. What else is cute? My mess in the background. I told you, I'm not a meat cook. Okay, so I didn't know if I should just take this and kind of just like, that's the current plan. And if it looks gross, we'll come up with another plan. Oh, it doesn't look gross, it looks cute. Cute, right? This is the final version. So like even this one that's been nibbled on looks cute. I love them. I'm gonna plate them over here and then maybe we'll taste it. I feel like we've spent the whole day together baking and cooking. So we are finally at the point where it's almost dinner time. I have garlic bread in the oven. Hi, cutie. Nothing fancy, straight out of a bag. For this particular pasta recipe, Trenette al pesto, in addition to your actual pesto that we made earlier and the pasta, you need a potato and 100 grams or like 4 to 5 ounces of green beans. So I'm gonna chop these up. I have water boiling in my yellow pot here on the stove, and then when that boils, the vegetables go in first. So I'm doing some of Callie's pasta first because I don't know if she's gonna want this whole recipe. So I'm starting with just plain pasta boiling, and I don't really know how long it's expected to take, but we will try it and let you know. Callie's pasta took about 5-ish minutes. I am putting in the vegetables. Now, I know, that's why I did yours separately. And I'm gonna start loading up the pasta in here. I'm pulling extra long noodles in half. This is what my like so far. All right, we are draining. I kept the pasta in for about 10 minutes. I'm gonna keep some of the pasta water. I'll show you why. This is also enough to feed a family of 8, so can't wait to eat so much Luca pasta at work. Okay, so I put a little bit of pesto here in my bowl, which I realize looks a little gross just on its own, but I'm gonna dribble in about a tablespoon of the pasta water and give it a little swirl. It's kind of like a pesto concentrate, and then you add water to it. It smells so good.
It does smell good.
It does smell good. And now
So good.
it's time for our Luca pasta in here. Get some veggies. This looks legit. Let me get you a better view. Look at how good this looks. I hope Julia's papa would be proud. It's taste test time to see if this is a worthwhile dish for your romantic Valentine's or family day. How do you feel, Doodles? Oh, she's giving a thumbs up. So we're about to watch Luca. So instead of this being a just one-on-one date night, it's a family date night, right? All right, I'm gonna taste test mine. I put extra cheese on top. You want to taste test mine too? Yeah.
Is yours hot?
Probably a little bit.
Would I like it? Would I?
I love it. Wow.
Would I like it?
I don't know. Did you like the pesto earlier?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Wait. Do you like it? You like it? I have more pesto. Do you like the green beans? No? Bon appetit! Do you want to say ciao?
Ciao.